Now, this is number 41 out of section 4.2, page 274. It asks you to evaluate the trigonometric function cosine for the angle in radians negative 13 pi over 6. Now, anytime you have an angle that looks this kind of weird or kind of out of the ordinary, what I would do is I would find a coterminal angle, and that's what I'm going to do here. Now, the way you can find a coterminal angle is to either add or subtract one or full revolutions, okay, around the unit circle. So if what we're really talking about is adding or subtracting 2 pi, as 2 pi will take you 1 revolution around your unit circle. So I'm going to add 2 pi to here to get it closer to a positive number. Okay, so 2 pi over 6. Well, to add that, I'm going to need to come up with an equivalent fraction here, so plus 12 pi over 6. Okay, and that's going to get me to negative pi over 6. Now, our goal is to more or less figure out, or to basically figure out what type of triangle we're going to be making here. So I know if I come out here to negative pi over 6, well then really I'm just going to create a triangle in the 4th quadrant, okay, that is going to have an angle here of pi over 6. Now, since I know my 30, 60, 90 triangles well, I know, and I'm going to give myself a little bit more space here, okay, I know that the side opposite of pi over 6 is always 1/2. And I can also see here that my y value is going to be negative, as I'm in the negative y direction. And I know that the adjacent side is always square root of 3 over 2, as long as we're talking about a unit circle, so our triangle having a radius of 1. Well, since I'm also familiar here, I know that cosine is always x over the radius, or the adjacent side over the hypotenuse, which leaves me with, which just ends up leaving me with x, since our radius is 1, which is equal to, well, our x side here is just the square root of 3 over 2. As you work through these, what you really want to end up doing is basically figure out what angle you are going to get between this line, or your radius, and the x-axis. Once you figure out that, the quadrant will tell you what your positives and negatives are, and then you should be able to figure out your y and x relatively easily.